The wind howled like a beast in mourning. Sand lashed against the metal hull of the outpost shack, rattling its seams and whispering secrets from the wasteland. Cale Voss adjusted the scope on his battered pulse rifle, ignoring the shaking walls. Storm coming. Big one. He'd seen too many to care. Outside, the Tantro Desert stretched endlessly, broken only by scorched rocks and the memory of cities that used to matter. Inside, Cale moved like a machine. Boil water, reinforce locks, check ammo. Survival had rhythm, predictable, safe. He was down to 2 rations, enough for 3 days, maybe less if the storm ruined the purifier. Not that he was in a hurry to live, until someone knocked, a sound too soft for a storm, too intentional to be random. He froze. The knock came again, 3 short raps, then a pause. Cale aimed the rifle at the door. If you're here to steal, you better be faster than a plasma bolt. No answer, just breathing. Then a voice, raw, low, trembling. Let me in, please. He opened the slit in the door and saw her. Or it, he thought first. Skin pale gold, soaked in sweat and dust. Hair like liquid chrome, tangled and sticking to her face. She leaned against the frame as if it was the only thing keeping her upright. Her eyes, green fire. Alien, Varelian. His rifle stayed up. State your name, quickly. Liss, she rasped. No time. They're coming. Cale blinked. That name. She fell forward. He caught her out of reflex, cursing. She weighed less than she should have. Blood, violet and sticky, spread across his shirt. She was wounded. Badly. Her cloak was burned. Underneath, glimpses of fractured armor gleamed. A model he recognized from the old war. Royal Guard series. She wasn't just alien, she was important. Shit. Cale slammed the door shut and disabled the external beacon. If she was being tracked, they had less than 20 minutes. He carried her to the cot, ignoring how her body tensed at every movement. Why here? He growled. Why my door? You used to wear this. She touched the insignia on his chest, half buried under dirt and regret. Cale Voss, human mercenary, once served the Varelian crown. You were supposed to be dead. I am dead, he muttered. As he cleaned her wounds, she stared at the ceiling like she didn't expect to survive the hour. He worked in silence, the storm beginning to scream louder outside. They killed my family, she said softly. They took my name, my voice. They put a tracking note in my spine. I escaped, and then I ran, until I found this desert, and you. He paused. You're not just any Varelian, no. Her eyes met his. I was their queen. He stepped back. Instinct told him to lock the door, drag her out, let the storm take her. This wasn't a refugee. She was a beacon of war, an empire fallen, 1,000 reasons to walk away. But the way she looked at him, she didn't beg. She offered a chance, a mirror. He'd once seen a child during the final battle of Varelia, hiding under a table of bones. She had the same eyes. He hadn't pulled the trigger then, and he wasn't pulling it now. Outside, engines whined. A patrol. Cale peeked through the cracked panel. 3 shadow suits, no markings. Unregistered rifles, not peacekeepers, not official. Worse, bounty hunters. Liss stirred. They know I'm here. Cale turned back. You led them to me. You can turn me in, she whispered. It would clear your record, buy you 10 lives. I don't want 10 lives, he said. He handed her a plasma pistol. Her hands shook, but her eyes, steady. When the first hunter breached the lock, Cale dropped him in 1 shot. The second went for the generator. Liss was faster, her shot precise, expression cold. The third escaped. He'll call for backup, she said. Then we don't wait here. Cale packed what he could. Water, ammo, data chips. Liss moved slower, limping but quiet. Before they left, she paused beside the door. You're not who I expected, Cale Voss. Neither are you, Your Majesty. She smirked. Not with arrogance, with bitterness. As if the title tasted like ash, the storm howled louder. Sand tore at their skin. They stepped into the chaos together. Behind them, the outpost burned. The storm hadn't passed. It had followed. Cale guided them through canyons carved by forgotten rivers, where rock spires rose like the bones of titans. The sandstorm above raged like a wounded god, blotting out moonlight. Only Cale's scanner map flickered guidance, and even that glitched every few steps. Liss limped behind him, wrapped in a cloak too thin for the cold. He'd offered his own, but she refused it. Pride or paranoia? He didn't ask. He just kept walking. There's a cave up ahead, he said, voice cutting through wind. Old mining shaft, should still have oxygen vents. We won't make it before they find us. They're scanning heat signatures. You're running hot. That spine node is still active. She hesitated. I can remove it, Cale added. I've seen those implants before. If it's still broadcasting, they'll track you no matter how deep we go. Do it, she said. No flinch. No drama. Inside the cave, Kale found the med kit, a knife, and 2 pain dampeners. Liz lay on the flat rock, exposing her back. Her armor peeled away with a hiss, organic plating detaching like scales. Between her shoulder blades, a pulse of violet blue throbbed faintly beneath skin and biocircuitry. Kale sterilized the blade. Last chance to back out, he muttered. Just cut. He did. She didn't scream. Not once. When the node came out, a glowing shard the size of a tooth, she crushed it under her palm. Her blood sizzled on the stone. We're ghosts now, she said, breathing hard. No signal, no code, just us. Hours later, the wind began to die. Kale stood at the cave mouth, scanning. No movement yet, but he felt it, like old instincts crawling up his spine. Something was out there. Liz joined him, cloaked in silence. You didn't ask why I was being hunted, she said quietly. Didn't need to. Aren't you curious? I was a merc, not a journalist. She gave a small, bitter laugh. Fair. A long pause. They didn't just overthrow the palace, she said finally. They used human tech. Your tech. Mind spikes, neural dampeners. They turned my people into perfect slaves, smiling, obedient, and unaware they'd lost free will. Kale swallowed hard. He'd seen the after effects of those systems, had once delivered crates of that tech, without asking where it went. I'm not asking for guilt, Liz added. I'm asking for fire. He looked at her, the way she stared into the desert like it owed her blood. She wasn't a runaway. She was a weapon waiting to wake up. The scanner chirped. Motion. 3 kilometers. Fast approach. Airborne. They're here, Kale said, locking eyes with her. And they're not bounty hunters. Military? Worse. Unmarked. They moved. Kale led her up a ridge of shattered stone where he set up a temporary blindfold using a cloak and 2 rock slabs. They lay prone, rifles aimed downslope. Seconds passed. Then, 3 black dropships tore through the sky, anti-grav quiet as whispers, heat thrusters glowing. From them, 6 armored figures deployed mid-air, landing with perfect silence. Their suits were matte obsidian, no emblems, faceplates mirrored. Silent wolves, Kale cursed. They're using mercenaries. Not just mercs, Liz whispered. Thalrin's unit. He turned to her. You know the lead? I used to trust him before he helped burn my throne room. Kale's fingers clenched. That complicates things. One of the wolves paused, lifted his helmet briefly, just enough for Liz to see the scar across his cheek. That's Thalrin, she whispered. He's not here to kill me. Then what's he here for? To own me. Kale made a call. We flank. Use their blind spot near the drop zone. Take one down. Steal comms. Too risky, she said. You want your crown back or not? She met his stare, then nodded. The ambush was fast, dirty, human. Kale rolled from the ridge, dropped a flash mine, then fired twice into the legs of the rear wolf. Liz darted from the shadows like lightning, her blade humming with biocharge. The first wolf's helmet cracked in 2. 2 more turned. Too late. Kale pulled the wounded soldier behind cover, removed his helmet. A teenage face blinked up, terrified, human. You're barely 20, Kale spat. I just follow codes, sir. Kale yanked his earpiece. Orders are kill or capture, the voice on the other end barked. Repeat, kill or, he crushed it. We move, now. Liz watched him with something between awe and fear. You're not what I expected, she said. Neither are you, Majesty. As they fled, Kale noticed her bleeding again. She hid it. Pride again, but her steps faltered. We need shelter, he said. There's a ridge, she rasped. Behind it, a buried craft, mine. I left it years ago. Can it fly? If the core's intact. They didn't stop. Behind them, Thalrin stood beside his fallen soldier. Helmet off, scar pale in the moonlight. He watched the 2 figures vanish into the rock and whispered, Found you. They reached the ridge at first light. The storm had passed, leaving behind a silence so deep it felt hostile. Every step Kale took kicked up fine ash and broken glass, the remnants of a battle long buried. Liz moved slower now. Her wound seeped dark violet through the bandage, but she didn't complain. She pointed to a half-collapsed dune. Under there, the ship's buried. I stashed it the night the palace fell. Why here? Kale asked. Because this was where I first swore I'd never serve them. And now I swear I'll burn them. They dug with bare hands. It wasn't subtle. Dust and static clung to their skin, coating sweat into grime. The sun burned hotter by the hour. But Kale worked without pause, driven by a silent calculation. The wolves would track them again within 2 hours. Maybe less. Then metal. A glint beneath the ash. Kale slammed a shovel into it. More. Brushed it clean. A cockpit window. Then a symbol. Scorched but visible. A Varelian crest faded to charcoal. Royal sigil. "That's yours?" he asked. "My father's design. Custom stealth runner. Biomech interface. I'm the only one who can pilot it. Let's get it breathing." 15 minutes later, the hatch hissed open. Inside, the air smelled of dust, coolant, and memory. The ship was sleek, coffin-shaped, compact for two. Panels pulsed weakly, running on reserve power. Fungal moss grew along the interior curves, alive, but dormant. Liz placed her hand on the helm. The ship reacted, blooming soft blue across the control arch. Her veins lit up in resonance. The interface accepted her like a returning soul. "Welcome back, Sovereign," it whispered in her tongue. Kale raised an eyebrow. Creepy, but helpful. He checked the diagnostic readouts. Cores at 30%. No jump capability. No shielding, but the thrusters might hold. "We don't need to jump," Liz replied. "We just need to disappear for one night. There's an abandoned comms tower 70 clicks north. If we reach it, I can try contacting someone. Someone who's still loyal? Someone who still has a soul." Kale nodded, but something nagged at him. That tracking node, they could have cloned it. Even with it gone, they might still have a bead on you. "I know," she said. "Then why risk the tower? Because if I die without speaking the truth, I'll die as their monster, not as myself." The ship rose from the sand like a reborn god. Its hull shimmered, shaking off years of dirt and silence. Kale took the co-pilot seat, checking external feeds. His screen blinked. Incoming. A blip. Then three. 3 interceptors. Vector locked. ETA 5 minutes. Already, Liz cursed. "We haven't even left orbit range." Kale armed the nose cannons. "Can you outfly them?" "I built this ship to outrun palace assassins. You tell me." She pulled the throttle. They launched. The desert spun below as the ship tore through low-altitude flight, skimming canyons and fractured dunes. Sunlight blasted across the cockpit. Kale's grip tightened as sonic booms cracked behind them. "Missile lock," he shouted. Liz twisted the yoke. The ship rolled hard left, dodging an ion barrage by inches. Heat scorched the side panels. One engine flickered. "We lose altitude. We're dead." "I know," she gritted. He looked at her. Sweat trickled down her neck, mixing with blood. Eyes focused, hands steady. "You're a damn good pilot," he muttered. "I was raised in a palace," she replied, "but I learned in war." The comms lit up. Liz Varaya came a voice, familiar, low, measured. "This is Commander Thalrin. You are ordered to surrender. You are not a queen. You are a fugitive. You are alone." She froze. Kale leaned forward. "Thalrin? Don't answer," Kale warned. "He wants your voice print. He's locking target." But Liz tapped the comm. "I may not be Queen Thalrin," she said, "but I'm not yours." Static. Then, "You're making me hunt you, Liz." "Why?" "Because I remember who you were before the uniform." "Then you know I won't miss." "Neither will I." She cut the signal. Kale activated the flare launcher. "I've got one trick left, but we've got to fly blind for 15 seconds. 15? Exactly. Do it." He fired. Bright flares scattered in all directions. The targeting systems behind them scrambled. Liz cut the main thrusters, letting the ship dive under a rocky arch. Silence. The radar cleared. The interceptors veered away, confused by ghosts and heat. When they landed behind the comms tower ruins, the ship hissed low like a beast in pain. One stabilizer was cooked. The hull smoked. They'd made it, but just barely. Kale exhaled, turned to Liz. "That was reckless. That was survival," he chuckled. "You know, you're not half bad for royalty. And you're not half dead for a mercenary." They stared at each other. Dust and blood and something strange between them. Not trust. Not yet, but something. As they stepped into the ruins, Liz whispered, "This was once the heart of the Empire, before the silence." Kale looked around. "Let's make it loud again." The comms tower stood like a corpse frozen mid-scream. Once a proud spire of alloy and glass, now it slumped under layers of time, sand, and shellfire. Burned banners fluttered like whispers of a forgotten empire. Kale scanned the perimeter while Liz knelt before a scorched emblem at the base. A Varelian sunburst split in two, shattered by the revolution. "I was born under that symbol," she said. "Now even the wind pisses on it." Kale didn't respond. He was tracking movement, subtle, distant. "Someone's here," he said. "Friend or corpse? If we're lucky, both." Inside the tower, they descended into the catacombs. Power was gone. Light came from Kale's shoulder torch and the faint bioluminescence that still clung to Lys's skin. They passed abandoned medbays, shattered cryopods, and scorched consoles. This had been a resistance relay once, maybe even a safe house. But now, dead silence, until a voice, broken and metallic, echoed from below. Access code or I shoot. Kale raised a hand. Name's Kale Voss, human, not dead yet. That earns me 10 seconds, yeah? Pause. Then, click. A rifle lowered. From the shadows emerged a figure in a battered exoframe, one leg replaced by a crude mech prosthetic. His face was half covered by scar tissue and a rusted breathing mask, but Lys knew him instantly. Sereth. He froze. Helmet off, eyes wide. No, she stepped forward. It's me. They told me you died, that you burned in the palace. That? He stumbled, catching himself against the wall. I failed you. You saved me, she said. That night when the guards turned. You got me out. That's why I'm alive. Sereth dropped to one knee, not out of ceremony but exhaustion. Or maybe grief. You shouldn't have come here, he rasped. They're watching everything. I've been running signal decoys for years, but sooner or later, they already know, Kale cut in. They're chasing her across planets. Then this tower is a tomb. Over the next hour, they sealed the lower vault, activated EMP dampeners, and patched the ship's damaged comms relay through the tower's amplifier. Kale moved like a soldier, while Lys and Sereth worked the old codes. He listened quietly. Learned. The old guards scattered, Sereth said. Some bought, most buried. But there's one left, the Ardent Cell. Deep space colony. Still loyal, still armed. They'd follow you. If they know I'm alive, Lys replied. Then give them something to follow. Later, as they sat beneath the cracked dome, stars blinking through like dying eyes, Kale found Sereth standing alone, watching the horizon. You blame yourself, Kale said. I let her get hunted, Sereth replied. You bled to get her out, that's more than most. Sereth turned. And you? Why help her? Kale thought, then shrugged. Some debts aren't written in blood, they're written in silence. A beat passed, then Sereth chuckled. Dry and harsh. She always liked lost causes. In the dark, Lys activated the amplifier. Her voice filled the tower, soft, firm, real. To those who remember the sun, I am not dead. I am not silenced. They took our throne, but not our fire. I still burn, and if you burn too, find me. Far across space, in a rusting ship orbiting a dead moon, an old soldier sat upright. In a corporate boardroom, a Varelian scientist dropped his pen. In a slave camp, a girl with chrome eyes whispered, "She lives." Back in the tower, Sereth placed a small vial into Lys's hand. This, he said, is the key to Dar Vosk's mind spike network. It's raw, partial, but enough to expose what they did. If you want to fight, this is your weapon. Kale leaned in. But once she uses that, the war's official. Good, Lys said. Then let them know it's begun. The scanner beeped. Kale's eyes narrowed. We've got company. 2 life forms. Fast. Sereth tensed. No reinforcements were expected. Lys turned to Kale. More bounty hunters? No, he said. Too light. One's moving erratic. He moved to the door, rifle raised, then froze. 2 figures emerged, one limping, the other half dragging the first. Kale lowered his weapon slowly. They're kids, he muttered. Teenagers. Half-starved. One carried a datapad wrapped in cloth. We heard your voice, one said. We didn't know if it was real. Are you here to save us? The other whispered. Lys knelt before them, gently touched their hands. No, she said. I'm here to remind you. You were never theirs to begin with. The signal had traveled faster than hope. Within 2 days, the Ardent Cell responded. A beacon from the edge of the Reagan Belt, coded in an ancient dialect only Varelian royalty and their loyalists still used. Lys translated it aloud in the ship's cockpit. Come to us, Phoenix. Bring the fire. Kale leaned against the hatch. Sounds poetic. It's more than that, Sereth said. The Ardent Cell aren't just soldiers. They're fanatics. If we reach them, they'll offer weapons, ships, and bodies. But they'll want something back. A crown, Kale muttered. Worse, Lys replied. Obedience. They didn't have time to debate. The Silent Wolves had triangulated the tower's coordinates. Kale had counted 3 low-orbit drones scanning from above. 2 hours left, maybe less, before boots landed. And when they did, they wouldn't come for capture. They'd come to erase. The night before departure, Sereth handed Kale a worn data slab. Old palace records, tactical plans, routes to the core systems. If Lys wants her world back, she'll need these. Kale glanced at the maps, but something was off. The file was too clean. Too Curated. Where'd you get this? Kale asked, from someone inside. Who? Sareth didn't answer. The veteran's jaw was tight, not fear, shame. You made a deal, Kale said coldly. Sareth looked away. I thought, if I gave them a location, they'd spare the children, the refugees. I didn't expect her to show up. Kale grabbed him by the collar, slammed him against the bulkhead. You sold her. I didn't know she was alive, Sareth roared. I thought it was over. You were wrong. Liz stepped into the room, voice low. Sareth dropped to his knees. Forgive me. She didn't answer right away. She simply reached down and closed his data slab. The old guard burned once, she said. If we do this again, we burn cleaner. She walked past them both. They left the tower at dawn, ship barely holding together, wounded refugees crammed inside, whispers of a rebellion blooming in every corner. Kale sat beside her in the cockpit. You didn't kill him. Not yet, she said. Why not? Because I need what he knows more than I need him gone. You're sounding more like a queen. I'm starting to hate that word. As the ship entered stratosphere, the silent wolves appeared. 4 interceptors, 1 command cruiser, Commander Thalrin himself aboard the lead vessel. Lys Virea, his voice came across the channel. Surrender, you have 5 seconds. Kale read the scan. They've locked missiles. Engines at 60%, shielding's weak. Then we don't outrun them, Lys said. So we die? She didn't answer. She reached into her armor and retrieved the vial Sareth had given her, Darvosk's mindspike code. A virus, a key, a fire. She inserted it into the ship's transmission core. What are you doing? Kale snapped. I'm broadcasting it. Live. It'll paint a target on you from every system. Then let them look. The screen lit up. Across Virelia, neural streams shuddered. Slave circuits flickered. Soldiers paused mid-command. A whisper entered every mind connected to the Empire's control web. You are not free. You are programmed. This is the proof. This is the key. This is the end of their lie. On the cruiser's bridge, Thalrin watched as his crew clutched their heads, hearing things, remembering things, screaming. He turned to his helmsman. Shut it down, sir. I can't. Back in the cockpit, Lys activated the final sequence. Kale, she said, we're gonna lose this ship. I figured. We'll crash hard. I'll scream later. She turned to him. Thank you. Don't die. I won't. I'm too angry. They clasped forearms. No romance. Just respect forged in survival. Then the engines overloaded. The ship spiraled. The world turned upside down. Impact. A sea of fire, metal screaming, glass shattering, silence. Then, a gasp. Kale pulled himself from wreckage, coughing smoke. His side burned. His shoulder dislocated, but he was alive. He turned. Lys was crawling from the flames, her cloak ablaze, one arm broken. She still moved like she meant to rule death itself. He limped toward her. Behind them, refugees stirred. Survivors, witnesses. Above them, the sky blinked with strange new signals. They heard it, Kale said. All of it. Good. You're bleeding. We're all bleeding. She looked up at the wreckage of her ship, then at her hand, then back at him. They wanted a queen who bowed. I'll give them one that burns. The crash had turned the valley into a grave of light and smoke. Twisted alloy lay scattered like the bones of some extinct beast. The ship's core hissed, bleeding coolant and nanodust. Around the wreckage, survivors limped, cried, called names into the rubble. A makeshift camp formed out of nothing. Just torn tents, firelight, and stubborn breath. Kale sat on a jagged stone, shoulder resocketed, ribs wrapped in scavenged synth cloth. He watched the fire crackle like it owed him answers. Lys sat across from him, one arm in a sling, face cut along her jawline. Her silver hair was stained with soot, her royal armor blackened and warped. And still, she looked more powerful than anyone he'd ever served. But tonight she didn't speak like a queen. She spoke like a wound. I used to dream of this, she said. The fall, the fire. Me, climbing from the wreck, reborn. Kale raised an eyebrow. You dream big. When you're born into power, you don't get small dreams, just slow deaths. The wind shifted, ash scattered between them like gray snow. I lost a child, she said suddenly, voice even, almost too even. Kale didn't move. His name would have been Varen, she continued. Or hers, Varel. I never got to choose. Thalrin's? A slow nod. I was young. The court wanted heirs. Thalrin wanted ambition. I wanted something that didn't belong to anyone but me. She pulled a chain from under her collar, a tiny shard of crystal hung there, cracked and dull. They tried to assassinate me during month 4. The baby didn't make it. I did. Barely, Kale said. She smiled. A sharp, broken thing. I learned that survival is a kind of punishment, living through what should have killed you, that scars deeper than blades. A long silence followed. Then Kale spoke. I had a brother. A pain in the ass, too loud, always chasing glory. Let me guess, he died screaming? Nah, he died trying to save someone like you. She looked at him. Human? Alien? Little kid with gills and bad jokes, got caught in a war zone? My brother jumped in, shielded him from an airstrike. He saved the kid? Yeah, kid made it. And your brother? Kale looked at the fire. Didn't find enough of him to bury. She leaned forward. Why do you follow me, Kale? I don't follow you. Then why are you here? Because no one else is. The fire popped. Sparks danced in the smoke. We can't win, she whispered. Not all of us, not whole. We'll lose cities, children, each other. We already lost everything, Kale said. Now we get to choose why. They sat in silence again, but this time, it wasn't hollow. It was full, heavy, sacred. Lie beside me, she said softly, just for tonight. Kale didn't hesitate. He slid down beside her, the stone still warm beneath them. They didn't touch, didn't speak, but their breathing aligned, their pain linked. Two embers in a dying world. Above them, stars blinked. One flared. Kale spoke without looking. That's a ship burning up. Someone's running. Or arriving, Liz whispered. She turned toward him. Swear to me. What? That if I become the thing they tried to make me, you'll end me. Kale hesitated. No. Why? Because if you become that, I'll remind you who you were. And if you don't come back, then I'll end you. But not until. She closed her eyes. Good. In the dark, her hand found his. Not a queen and a soldier. Not a couple, just two broken pieces that fit for one moment. Miles away, Commander Thalrin stared at a broken beacon module. His men had failed. His scouts were gone. And in his palm he held a scan chip, Lys's biosignature. She survived, he muttered. One officer stepped forward. Shall we move? Thalrin shook his head. No, let her think she's winning. He looked to the stars. Let her gather the fire. I'll be the one to drown it. The resistance fortress at Keln Station was buried beneath 3 kilometers of rock and rumor. Kale had expected something crude, gritty bunkers, desperate men. Instead, he found a cathedral of war. Stone walls inscribed with ancient Varelian oaths, holograms flickering prayers of defiance, refugees training with fanatics, children learning how to disarm pulse bombs before learning how to write. And at the heart of it all, a chamber lined with transmission towers. The voice engine. Sareth stood beside Lys, posture rigid despite his still healing body. We've boosted the tower's range, he said. If you speak here, your message goes to every registered frequency in the sector. Military, civilian, criminal, all of them. And if we don't? Kale asked. Then we keep hiding, dying, waiting to be hunted like prey. Lys didn't answer immediately. Her fingers brushed the edge of the transmitter console. Cool, sleek, ancient tech, reawakened by her DNA. She was silent for a long moment. Then, let them hear me. She stepped into the circular platform. A field of glowing light formed around her. Biosensors activated. Voice-to-thought conversion shimmered in the air like heat. Sareth gave a nod. You're live in 10 seconds. Kale stood at the entrance, arms crossed, watching, waiting, protecting. The signal flared. Planets thousands of light seconds away picked it up. Drones paused mid-flight. Soldiers froze mid-patrol. In cantinas, warships, throne rooms, and slave colonies, Lys's voice arrived like a thunderclap wrapped in silk. You've heard many names for me. Traitor, fugitive, ghost. But I am none of those. I am Lys Varela. I was born beneath the twin suns, raised in the shadow of a throne they now call Ash. They said I died, that I surrendered, that I vanished. They lied. And if they lied about me, what else did they steal from you? Across star systems, miners stopped drilling. Smugglers held their breath. Governors reached for panic buttons. The empire that rules you is a machine. It does not love. It does not feel. It consumes and controls. And if you believe you are free, it's because you're already broken. But I am not broken. I am not gone. I am awake. Thalrin, watching from the bridge of his command ship, stared at the screen. Lys's face, burned, scarred, glowing, filled it. He closed his eyes. She did it, he whispered. Damn her. A lieutenant stepped forward. Orders, sir? He said nothing. Then, send the vultures. Make it public. Back at Keln Station, Lys's voice hit its final note. I am not here to ask. I am here to ignite. If you burn, burn with me. She stepped back. The room fell into silence. Then, a cheer erupted, not orchestrated, not polite, raw. A wave of fists, claws, and limbs in the air. A primal response, hope weaponized. Kale stepped toward her. That's one hell of a war cry. It's not a war cry, she said, voice low. It's a funeral dirge. For who? For the part of me that still believed in mercy? Alarms screamed, missiles inbound, Sereth cursed. They sent vultures, airborne stealth squads. Kale's pulse rifle was in his hand before the warning ended. How many? Too many. Then we hold. The fortress erupted into motion. Refugees became riflemen. Children became messengers. Lys ran with Kale down the war corridors, firelight flickering off ancient statues of her ancestors. She stopped suddenly, pulling a hidden compartment from the wall. What is that? Kale asked. The last gift from my mother before she died. She held up a sphere, obsidian black, pulsing with red light. Forbidden weapon, one use, one target. You planning on using it? If he shows himself. Thalrin? She didn't answer, but Kale knew. The attack came hard. Drop pods, sonic mines, plasma shredders. Kale led the counter-offensive with precision, moving like a beast unleashed. Lys fought beside him, not as a ruler, but as a survivor who had nothing left to lose. In the smoke, one shadow stepped through. Armor jet black. Sword drawn. Thalrin. You shouldn't have spoken, he said, removing his helmet. His face was calm, almost sad. You once said silence was noble, Lys replied. Now I understand, it's just comfortable. They circled each other like memories in combat. Kale aimed his rifle. One word and he's gone. No, Lys said, he's mine. The duel was brutal. No elegance, just fury. Sword met blade, fists met blood. At the final clash, Lys drove her blade through his thigh, non-lethal. Why? He rasped. Because I need someone to remember this moment. She activated the obsidian sphere, held it over his heart. You showed me war, now feel what you made. A pulse of energy ripped through him, not death, but confession. All his memories, crimes, lies. Betrayals, broadcast to every channel. A public execution without a grave. He collapsed, not dead, but never a commander again. Sereth watched from above. You just turned him into your first martyr. Lys stood still. No, she said. I turned him into my first warning. That night, under the shattered arch of the transmission tower, Kale asked the question, what now? Lys answered without looking up. Now we burn it all. The queen spoke, and the stars blinked. They marched beneath banners stitched from old uniforms and burnt flags. Civilians, smugglers, defectors, rebels, families. The army wasn't coming to free them. They had become the army. Across 5 sectors, uprisings bloomed like wildfire. Fuel depots sabotaged, drone towers turned, propaganda screens overwritten by Lys's voice. In cities where silence once ruled, chants now echoed. No crown, no chains, only fire. Inside the core capital, Varelia Prime, panic spread behind polished walls. General Darv Vosk, once untouchable, tightened his grip on the dying empire. He watched riot footage on repeat, listened to screams, studied Lys's broadcast again and again, each time colder than the last. She wants my throne, he said. His aide shook. Sir, she doesn't want a throne. She wants justice. Then give her ashes. He activated orbital lockdown, his last move. A warning, enter this city, and I'll burn it before you take it. But they came anyway. Kale led the charge. The last remnants of the Ardent Cell fought beside him, scarred, loyal, hungry for redemption. Their ship burst through the atmosphere like a falling god, shielding fire trailing behind. As they landed, smoke towers rose above the capital, not from bombardment, but from the people themselves. Inside every district, citizens opened doors, formed barricades, disabled patrol drones. The streets became mazes of revolt. The system that ruled by control was now drowning in unpredictability. Lys stood on the main concourse, once the royal way, now scorched and cracked. Behind her, thousands. Ahead, the gates to the Hall of Command. She wore no crown, just dark armor, glinting with heat. Kale approached her. This is suicide. No, she said, this is symmetry. Inside the hall, Darv Vosk prepared his final broadcast. He would appear one last time, tell the people she was mad, that the rebellion was a foreign infection, that her bloodline was poison. But the console sparked. Screens went black, the feed never launched. He turned, and there she was. Lys walked into his chamber like thunder given form, flanked by Kale, shadowed by smoke. Guards drew weapons, then lowered them. Not by command, by choice. They knew who had already won. Darv Vosk reached for his sidearm. Don't, Kale warned. You're already dead, you just don't know which second it happens yet. You think killing me ends this? Voss growled. No, Liz said. You ending yourself might. She stepped forward, her voice, not a roar, but steel. I could shoot you right now, and it would feel good. Gods, it would feel right. But I want them to see you. She tapped a wristband. Feed is live. Screens blinked on, across the capital, across the empire. Tell them, Darv, what you did, not to me, to them. He trembled. Say it. We broke them, he rasped. We stole thoughts, names, turned lovers into spies, children into weapons. We turned a people into machines because they obey better when they don't remember who they are. And I signed every order. I liked it. I liked it. The moment hummed, then his own guards shot him. 4 rifles, 1 instant. No orders. Just justice. Outside, the people screamed. Not in fear, but in release. Chains of thought cracked. Soldiers laid down arms. Families tore down statues. A crown fell, not shattered by blade, but dissolved by truth. Hours later, Kale sat on the palace steps. His armor was torn, his face a map of bruises and dust. Lys joined him. Quietly, they want you to speak again, he said. I have nothing left to say. You sure? She looked out. They don't need a queen. They need someone who remembers their names. You're not the same woman who begged at my door. No, she said. That woman died in the sand. He reached into his coat, pulled out a small crystal shard, her old voice chip. You dropped this. She took it, turned it in her hand. Maybe it's time to stop running from who I was, and start becoming who you choose to be. The final scene. Lys walks up the cracked steps of the throne hall. No banners, no crown, just the people, standing silently. She turns. My name is Lys Varela. I do not rule you, but I remember every one of you, and I will never forget again. The war was over, but the silence that followed was heavier than gunfire. Varelia Prime lay still beneath 2 pale suns. Smoke drifted through broken towers. Statues had fallen. Broadcast towers hummed low with nothing to say. What remained of the people walked slowly, like ghosts waking from a long coma, unsure if they were alive or simply the last ones left. And in the heart of it all, the Grand Throne Hall stood like a corpse awaiting judgment. Kale entered first. His boots echoed through the marble, past shattered mosaics of rulers long gone. The golden dome overhead had collapsed, revealing the open sky. The throne, once pure obsidian, was cracked down the center, and Lys stood before it, not seated, just standing, still, watching, waiting. He approached her quietly. They want you to take it, he said. The people, the council, what's left of the ardent cell. That, she asked, nodding toward the broken throne. It's just a chair now. A heavy one. It always was. She turned to him, her voice lower. If I sit, I become the symbol they need. And if you don't, they'll build one anyway. Might be worse. Then sit, Kale said. Only if you stand behind me. She climbed the steps slowly. Each footfall echoed like a drumbeat. At the top, she turned back to the throne facing the people. Crowds gathered silently in the courtyard outside, standing beneath the twin suns. No soldiers, no ceremony, just eyes. Watching. Waiting. I was never meant to wear this crown, she said aloud. But I've learned it doesn't matter who it was built for. It matters who bleeds under its weight. She looked down. I am not your queen. I am your witness to what we lost, to what we became, and to what we must never become again. Then, she sat. The cracked obsidian groaned beneath her. A wave of whispers swept the crowd. Keel stood behind her, not as a consort, not as a general, but as a shadow, a guard dog with a war-torn soul. She glanced back softly. If I am queen, you're queen of a broken people, he said. Then what are you? He leaned down slightly. I'm not yours, he whispered. I'm the king of the fire that kept you alive. She smiled. That's enough. Later that night, the private chambers were still under repair, but the stars were clearer than ever. Keel stood on the high balcony, watching the wind carry ash like silver flakes. Lys stepped beside him. Do you think they believe I can fix it? No, Keel said honestly, but they believe you'll try. That might be worse. It's the only honest crown you'll ever wear. She turned to him, pulled a datapad from her robes. Intercepted transmission. A name, a location. He took it, read the lines, his eyes narrowed. A child? Royal blood. Hidden, raised in exile. Darvosk's final insurance policy. Where? Outer Rim, Black Moons. Alive, if we're lucky? She stared out at the stars. If I am the last queen of Varelia, then that child is either the next sovereign Or the last executioner? Kale smirked. Guess we're not done yet. No, Liz said. Now the war becomes personal. There was no coronation, no parade, no anthem. Just a black starship, old but fast, lifting slowly from the palace roof at dawn. The people didn't cheer, they watched. That was enough. Inside the ship, Liz stood at the center console, arms behind her back. Her royal armor had been replaced with something plainer. Black flightwear, marked only by a single red sash across her shoulder. She didn't look like a queen anymore. She looked like a question waiting to be answered. Kale walked in, holding a small metal case. You ready? He asked. I'm not sure that's the right question, she replied. What is? Do I still remember who I am when I leave this place? He handed her the case. She opened it. Inside, a single piece of crystal, still glowing faintly blue. My mother's last command stone, she said quietly. She used it to lock the archive vault the night they came. It's still locked? Not anymore. She stared into the crystal like it held all the ghosts of her bloodline. Inside is the original testament of fire. The what? The last law of Varelia. Not about rule, not about war, just purpose. And what does it say? That fire must never be passed by hand, only by heart. She set the crystal in the ship's altar port. A gentle chime echoed. The ship recognized her not as sovereign, but as inheritor. Ship name? The system asked. She looked to Kale. Any suggestions? He smiled faintly. You named a rebellion. I get to name the ride? Deal. He tapped the console. Call it Ashlight. She paused. That's awful. Exactly. They both laughed, for once a real sound. No grief underneath. No war behind it. Just two people, tired and alive. The engines roared to life. The palace shrank behind them. So did the city, the world. Soon, Varelia Prime became just another sphere in space. Another scar. Coordinates? Kale asked. Black moons, outer rim, the orphan planet. You think the child's still alive? If they are, they're either a fire waiting to rise, or a matchbook soaked in poison. Silence stretched for a while. Then Kale looked at her. What happens when you find them? That depends on who they've become. And if they're you, 20 years younger, then I'll tell them what no one told me. What's that? She turned to him, a soft sadness in her smile. That being born royal doesn't mean you get to matter. You have to choose to matter. They jumped, stars bent, light stretched into silence. And somewhere, far beyond stars, beyond hope, beyond even pain, another voice stirred. A child, eyes violet, skin silver, holding a dagger not for defense but for memory. And when they looked to the sky that night, they saw a star fall. They didn't know it yet, but the fire had returned.